So you want to fix your USB on the Yeti, so this is what you're going to need. You're going to need some cock and ball pinchers, Philip Jr. because the screws are really small, solder slurper 9000, some ESD tweezers, you don't really need these, micro USBs obviously, so a rag, you'll see why we need that in a minute, and a mask so you don't inhale lead and get cancer. Let's do this. You need to separate this. This shell is separate from this. This is what the circuit board is attached to. So you need to remove all of these little buttons and knobs so that you can separate them. And that's why we need the rag, because if you just go in there with the cock and ball pinchers, then it's gonna really scrape up the metal. So just use the rag. Oh. Well, that one was pretty easy. Alright, we'll just set that to the side and try to get this knob out. I tried doing it like this, but you should probably do it like this. And those are pretty easy too. It's much easier if you go at it like straight on instead of perpendicular. I don't know, I guess it depends on the pliers you have. With these kind of pliers, you wanna, Jesus. Oh, there it goes, and I scratched it. Fuck yeah, I'm just gonna, probably don't try this. Using the towel actually made it worse, so don't do that. So now, after those are separated, you notice it still won't come loose, so first you unscrew this big boy, put that aside with the other stuff. Those 3 screws in the triangle, you just unscrew all those. So we got all 3 screws out. Put those aside, keep everything together, and finally we can remove it and expose the circuit. But anyway, what we want to fix is not there, right here. Here it is. This is our little micro USB input so that our computer can talk. Okay, so a tip for desoldering the USB, it's really tough. This does not work that great, don't use one of these. Solder Slurper 9000.
So that was a f***ing lie.
You want to order some solder wick, it's like copper solder wick online. It took like 2 days to get here, but this works way better. So basically, there's plenty of tutorials, probably just look up the tutorial. You put it over the joints like that, and then you heat it up. So it's gonna look something like that, where you just put it over the joints, and then it'll suck up all the solder once you heat it up. A last tip that I have, once you use the copper to suck all the solder, it's gonna still be stuck there. So what you do is you get like a screwdriver or something, and you're gonna want to like forcefully like push out these little things, but very like gently. You want to be very gentle about it, just kind of like balance it on the pin or the tip of the screwdriver and just push each one of them out. And then once all of them are like loose on the main 4, make sure these don't have that much solder on them, and you can kind of just gently wiggle it out with your fingers. And just make sure none of the pins break off, otherwise you're just gonna have to spend forever trying to get them out. Alright, so here's the previous boy. It's all destroyed. There's like a black part that's like this, and it's bent like down like a sad penis or whatever. I don't know.
What?
It's not the metal part, because I squeezed it with some pliers. It's bent down like this, and that's not good. You want them just straight. Or some of these new ones, these brand new ones that I just ordered, they're kind of like at an angle, but they're still straight. They're not like this. They're the little black connections inside of the silver case.
What the f is that?
So you get a fresh one, and then you just line it up with the pins. Yeah, and it should slide in, and it'll just hold itself. There you go. So now it's in. Those 4 and then those 5 tiny ones should line up perfectly.
2,000 years later.
So now you just put a metric ass load of solder on these big boy joints. These aren't really going to cone out as much as you'd expect. These are going to be a little more rounded off.
Make sure to wear a mask.
You want to start off on the little ones first, and just be really careful not to bridge any of them. There's like 2 of them that are, 2 of the tiny ones are ground, so if those bridge, I need to look at the data sheet, I don't know.
Stop the cap.
2 of them are ground, so if those are bridged, it's okay, but if any of the other ones are bridged, it's not good. Now, last thing you do is you just inspect that bitch under the microscope. Make sure you got good connections. And yeah, those look okay. Yeah, those look fine. So, we have a working Yeti right here. Let me take this off. We have a working Yeti right here and it recognizes it. And as soon as I unplug it, it's gone. So now, yeah, it's not an option. So now, if I soldered correctly, it should recognize it when I plug this in. And it does. And if we unmute it, hello, hello, hello. And that's, yeah, I think it's working now. Wasn't picking it up before. So that's how to fucking, yeah.
Did you show?
Yeah, putting it back together is pretty simple. This is very important. When you're putting the shell back on, you want to make sure that your USB aligns with the USB that you just smacked on there. Otherwise, if you force it, it's gonna get all bent out of shape. That happened to me. I tried to like force it on and it just like completely upheaved it like that. It's not good. So just make sure when you're putting it on that you just don't force anything and that it fits real snugly into there. And see, that's good. Just like that. Just make sure this doesn't get bent anymore. And now you can put in all the knobs. You'll know if you messed up the USB because the knobs won't go in very smooth. God damn it. What? And that's how to Blue Yeti